EPL Christmas games, very interesting games that you all will like. Let's see what we have for this Christmas period. Now, game starts tomorrow with Manchester United versus Newcastle, a game to watch out for. But on Saturday, we're having Nottingham Forest versus Man City, West Ham versus Fulham, Brentford versus Bournemouth, Liverpool versus Wolves, Arsenal versus Brighton, Chelsea versus Aston Villa, Burnley versus Everton. Then on 28th Sunday, we're having Sunderland versus Leeds United and Crystal Palace versus Tottenham. These are what we'll have between tomorrow and Sunday. I can agree with me that we've got a lot of matches to keep ourselves happy, busy throughout this Christmas period, that will keep us entertaining. And so, but let's look at 3 good games that you need to watch out for. These 3 games are very, very serious games that every person wants to watch. A lot of interest in these games. One is Manchester United versus Newcastle, a cracker. The other one is Arsenal versus Brighton. And then the third one, in my view, arguably, is Chelsea versus Aston Villa. You see, 2 of these games actually looks like a transposition. If you notice that the last EPL games, Manchester United played with Aston Villa, and they lost to Aston Villa. And now the same Aston Villa is playing with Chelsea, and the Newcastle that Chelsea played with is playing with Manchester United. Very interesting game, But for this evening now, we'll pick out only Manchester United versus Newcastle. This is the game we're going to be discussing. But before we go to this game proper, are you aware that both teams, here I'm talking about Manchester United versus Newcastle, they have the same form? And this is troubling. Don't get it twisted. You see, Manchester United last game, people thought that Aston Villa will thrash them, beat them up so much. Even though Aston Villa won, but Manchester United actually put up a lot of fight for that game, even though they lost. But coming to this particular game between Manchester United and Newcastle, the another challenge here now is that there are concerns on the part of Manchester United, and then less concern, less worries, less troubles on the side of Newcastle. Because if we check, for their last 5 games, both of them have the same form. Manchester United has just won 2 games out of their last 5 games. They drew 2 and lost 1. For Newcastle, they also won 2, drew 2 and lost just 1. So they are in the same realm when it comes to football, practice at the moment. However, head-to-head between these 2 teams, is also very interesting, because Newcastle actually had won Man U 4 times in their last games, and Man U only won them once. This is quite troubling. And I think this is a good time for Manchester United to meet any club that is aggressive, full of energy and power, a team that want to, press back to Manchester United. If you look at Manchester United's situation now, it's actually worrying and troubling, because they've had a lot of challenges. At their back line, they've got a lot of issues. Luke Shaw, Heaven, and Yoru, I doubt if they can stand, these Newcastle guys, with so much energy. Manchester United fan, don't come for me, because this is the reality on ground, to be honest with you. If you do a reality check, you see that Manchester United backline has a lot of problems. Now let's go to Manchester United midfield. You also agree with me there will be a lot of troubles, because the only key man that holds their midfield, Fernandes, is actually out of the game at the moment. There is no information at the moment if he's going to be available for this game, but I doubt if he'll be available. And so if he's not available, what happens? Who is going to manage Manchester United midfield? Yes, Casemiro might come back, but is he strong enough to be able to, handle that midfield? That's what the problem is. Ugarte is nowhere to be found. He's not in form. Dalot is not in form. So which formation will Amorim come up again? His normal back 3, and play these guys are not strong in midfield. There will be a very big problem with Manchester United. Now, if you look at the attack too, they also have a lot of problem. Mbeumo is not available. Ahmad is not available. Sesko, their top 9, is not doing anything too serious. Kune He's also not doing something that people will say, okay, we are hopeful that he's going to give us a lot of numbers, in that game. So I think Man U might actually have a lot of problems. Mason Mount is not strong. He's not actually in form at the moment. He's not giving them what they want. So there is a big problem for Manchester United coming to this game. I see a very big challenge because at the end of the day, it will be difficult for Amorim to be able to, galvanize these boys to be able to give fans what they actually want. Manchester United lost their last game, because the midfield didn't come to play. The defender did not do anything reasonable. The wingers were not there. The top guy in front, which is Sesko, could not do anything reasonable until they saw him. Kune tried somehow to be able to, give them something good. He scored one goal, but it wasn't enough for them to be able to win that game. So Manchester United will be having a lot of problem coming to that game, to be honest with you. That's the realistic check on ground. And don't also forget that this Newcastle side, these guys are full of energies. These guys will press Man U, and Man U will have a lot of problem. And if Man U loses this game, it will be a very big problem for Manchester United, because one, they will go down the ladder, and that is not good for a big club like Manchester United. However, don't get it twisted. If you analyze a straight down match between Manchester United, I'm talking about the last game with Aston Villa, you also see that people came up with this assumption, this permutation that Aston Villa is going to drain Manchester United. But it actually came up. They put up a lot of fight. They did a lot to be able to win that game. Unfortunately, because their attackers didn't do well, they were unable to get something good. And secondly, too, their defenders too were all in shambles, especially Euro and Luke Shaw. They could not do anything reasonable to be able to salvage or save Manchester United from that particular situation. That's a bad one. So I don't know how Amorim is going to go about this. I remember my position before now is the fact that Amorim appears to me like a very stubborn man. He doesn't want to change from his normal tactics. When you have situations like this, when you see that some of these my guys, they know they're around to be able to help me, you can reverse your tactics. You can say, okay, you know what? Instead of playing this 3-man back line, make I use 4 people at the back to be able to wage these Newcastle guys. But this guy no agree. This man stubborn. He no agree. He will still want to play a Euro, Luke Shaw and Heavy. Heavy is a very young guy. That guy no get experience, to be able to manage a pressure from attackers. It will be a problem for Manchester United. And then at midfield, that if Casemiro alone will be able to manage that situation. So Man U is going to face a very serious test come tomorrow, Friday, 26th of December. A very serious one, because I don't see them coming out of this match successful. In my view, I think Man U might likely lose. Man U will lose this game, to be honest with you. Man U will lose. I see Man U struggling to score just 1 goal in that game, and then Newcastle scoring close to 3 goals. So 3-1, 3 for Newcastle, and then 1 for Manchester United. That's my prediction. So please, in the comment section, drop your opinion. What do you think about this game between Manchester United and Newcastle? What do you think will be the scoreline? Who do you think is going to win? In the comment section, drop your opinion. Let us see what you think about it, And then, if you have not liked our video or shared our video, please do so. See you in the next video. Bye.